Good evening. An alarming phone call started it all.
A woman on the other end claims someone on the plane might pose a threat. JetBlue Flight 923 was on its way from Boston to Chicago when the plane had to make a sudden stop at the Buffalo-Niagara International Airport.
Now, we brought you live team coverage of the breaking news at noon today. News 4 investigative reporter Luke Moretti is live for you at the airport tonight with the very latest. Luke?
Yeah, no question about it. Some tense moments here at the Buffalo Airport in Cheektowaga. A flurry of activity today as police waited for this plane to land here in Buffalo so that they could get to the bottom of what was happening. JetBlue Flight 923 from Boston to Chicago was diverted to the Buffalo-Niagara International Airport.
Buffalo was the closest airport where they could get the flight on the ground safely.
Federal and local authorities were acting on information that there might be an explosive device on board. The aircraft was taken to an isolated section of the airport.
We deplaned the passengers from the aircraft, total of 83 passengers. They were deplaned, and they were then transported to the terminal.
The passenger compartment of the aircraft was swept by an explosive detection canine, along with checked bags and the passengers before they were moved to the terminal. Authorities say they found no valid threat.
We're very confident that there was no explosive device on the aircraft.
Stephen Lancer of the Buffalo FBI office says 2 women are being questioned in connection with the investigation. One is a female from Boston who authorities say phoned about a possible threat.
The FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force in Boston located the caller and conducted interviews.
A female passenger from the flight was also detained and questioned.
No charges have been filed yet, and it's undetermined whether charges will or will not be filed on this.
JetBlue 923, standby.
Meanwhile, air traffic control radio chatter was buzzing during the incident in Buffalo.
The airport's going to be closed for a while for an emergency and not for security reasons. Kind of all they're letting me tell you right now, but plan to hold when you get closer in.
Local, state, and federal agencies train for this kind of scenario all the time. NFTA Police Chief George Gast says the incident was handled by the book.
Well, obviously, if there's a threat on a plane, we're not going to taxi that plane up to a gate with a terminal full of people.
Now, eventually, that plane was cleared to continue on to Chicago, which it did. Some of the other passengers obviously missed business connections that they had in Chicago. We're told some of those booked a flight back to the Boston area. Now, we're also told that the woman who was detained in question here in Buffalo has been released and no charges have been filed. And there's no word tonight out of Boston that has to do with any charges being filed on that end. Of course, we'll keep you posted.